What is going on, everyone? Happy Thursday. Thirsty Thursday, as some of you may refer to it. Trading Thursday, as we refer to it. We are back with another episode of My Funded TV. This is the show that is created not only to entertain and engage you, which we go out of our way to do, but ultimately to do whatever it takes to make you a better trader. That's why we're here. We're now spending 2.5 hours with you all every single day. 2.5 hours. We are rocking and rolling. A preview of what is ahead. We're going to take a look at ES and NQ. We had a little bit of a march higher. We had a little bit of a march lower. So I want to ask our experts, Bull Barbie and VPE Forrest, for some input on what how they're looking at the market. Every single day, we deliver to you the most interesting chart of the day. The most interesting chart of the day is what we bring you. So we will have that. Stay tuned. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's a good one today. We have an educational segment. We have a very special guest. Today is looking like a day where there might be some nice trading action. So I'm going to encourage you all to stay tuned. I'm seeing comments in the chat saying that we're close to 10K subs. That's right. We're closing in on that 10K mark. I see someone else saying that my makeup looks good. Thank you. I spent a long time on it this morning. Without further ado, I would like to welcome our expert traders, Miss Bull Barbie and Mr. Forrest Knight, onto the stream. What's going on, guys?
Hey, yo.
Good morning.
Are you ready?
Ish.
I mean, we're here.
We're here. It's time to rock. I think that, well, let me ask this. Chat, are you ready? Are you ready, chat? And I don't think you are. And I'll tell you why. I don't see a ton of likes on the stream yet. I don't see a ton of shares on the stream yet. I don't see constructive comments yet, which I want to get.
Terry's in the chat.
So I'm asking, is the chat? Terry's in the chat?
Yeah, I saw Terry.
Oh, all right. Maybe the chat is lighting up then.
Let me open the chat up.
Share with your ex, share with your grandma, share with your mom, share with your Discord, share with your ex.
Share with your ex.
We'll take anything, huh? We'll take your scraps.
Don't be toxic, guys.
All right, chat. Do we want some giveaways today? Or do we want just charts? Just charts and levels? I don't know.
What are the people saying? Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Got ha-has, LOLs, charts, reset gang.
Yeah, just charts.
Okay.
I see a lot of just charts.
Just
here
charts.
Because of trading with Forrest. Shout out Theron Johnson. Love you too, man. Yeah.
Yep.
Just
see
giveaways.
The chat simping over me per usual. I'm used to it now.
I'm here to trade. I'll tell you that.
All right, Forrest, let's kick it to you then. We don't just have this nice fodder for you all. We get into the action. What is going on with NQ, sir?
Let's take a look. Let me switch on over to NQ. So what's going on with NQ actually requires looking at both of them. So this was my thesis kind of for the last 2 days, to be honest, right? So we'll do both side by side. So I was holding a short yesterday, looking for this prior day low sweep. So we're going to go to the 4-hour on both tickers, and we'll get rid of all the noise. We really don't need anything right now. So in my system, there are key levels that I care about. So since the first, we had this low here. Whoops, I pressed the wrong button. Okay. We had this low here on this day, right? The 6th, we did not sweep this low. So prior day high and prior day low are super important because when we talk about higher highs and higher lows, you have to interact with the prior day high or low, right? That's the only way you can put in a higher high or a higher low on the daily time frame. And so if you have an inside day, this is essentially what we got in this period, you can't really technically have a trend, right? It's ranging. Like we could see it ranging, but it is ranging. So my thesis was that this was going to come down and sweep this low, right? Made sense. We also had some top wicks on the 4-hour prior to this pop-up, right? So it's always going to go side to side, sweep, sweep. Something I always say, if you're in my Discord, you hear me say sweep, sweep all the time. It sweeps one side, it sweeps the other side. So on NQ, went short about this time period here. Let me get a big old arrow for you. Okay, held that through the FOMC chopperoni. and I held it until ES swept the low, right? I mentioned yesterday that the tickers, the indices have to get in sync. And so the sinking moment was once ES finally swept this May 1st low here, right? So there were a lot of other, I think, traders I saw yesterday talking about, a few different things, but really it's these key levels and the fact that we're in auction, they have to get interacted with. And so, I just held that trade and made a couple hundred points, and that was it. I was done. I didn't flip long. Thought about it. Nice little signal candle here. We had a high volume 4-hour green candle, right? When we talk about signal candles that swept on NQ and ES, honestly, but it's kind of inside. If we look at let's open up NQ here. Whoops, wrong chart. We open up NQ here and we define a range. Let's use squiggles. We won't use defined lines. So if we do a squiggle here and a squiggle here, and if we look at where this bar is, okay, it's kind of far up into this range, right? I would prefer my signal candle to be right on the edge, right? So it's still a good long signal. Also, you could just trade the range, right? If you're just expecting this thing to keep ranging, you could trade the range. But if you long the close of this, right, if you actually wait for the candle to close, which you're supposed to for a signal candle, then your actual area for profit is just this side, right? It's like half. So it's not the best trade there on the long side. Obviously, if you just longed here without waiting for the candle to close, that would work well. Didn't do that. But that's what I'm looking at right now on NQ. We just came up to, am I in replay mode? I'm not. Yeah, this is live market. We just came up to this prior high. You can see that we have not swept it yet. Okay, so same thing. Like until we sweep this high, there are people still positioned here, okay, that we have not taken out. It's just a really simple auction mechanic that matters. Same with ES, right? ES has not swept this let, right? So both of these have front ran this high, and so I'm looking for this high to get taken out before I really consider doing anything.
That's kind of a good plan today. You know what I noticed though? So here's the tricky part of today. And see if I want to know how you're going to deal with this. So Trump's coming on at 10, right?
What's he talking about?
This should be about, here's the thing. He said there's a really big announcement coming on Thursday or Friday or Monday. So I don't know if that is what he's talking about, but it's supposed to be about a trade deal. So we have trade deal news coming at 10. So
trade deal news coming at 10.
Speaking, just so you know. So that's something like I like to be flat and ready, I guess, when Trump's coming on.
Yeah. If anything, if I was going to have a trade on, right, I would, what am I logged into right now? All right, I'm on paper. I had to be certain. I would short the highs. Okay. This is just an example, guys, right? Don't crucify me. But if I was thinking about risk, and we'll do that squiggle range again. This is some very, very, very simple TA. Okay. We have a range. Look at what side of the range we're at. We're at the high side of the range. What a lot of people will do over and over is they'll long the highs and they'll short the lows. Okay. That will work sometimes. Okay. We can see an example of where that would have worked right back here. Okay. If you were here and you long the high at this point in time, you would have made money. But most of the time, shorting the highs would have actually made you money, and longing the lows would have made you money. So some very, 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 very simple trading basics, regardless of if, what time Trump comes on or what he says. If I was looking and trying to think of a trade, I would be short biased just off this range. Now, there could be a ton of other factors and things that make me think this is going to break out, and maybe I take a breakout long, but just wanted to mention that since we have this very well-defined range right here. But yeah, I'll be flat at 10 as well. And I'll probably just look to fade the reaction.
I was originally just looking at the unemployment claims this morning, and then I noticed that Trump was coming on. Yeah, someone in the chat had clarified it's about the UK agreement. It is. I checked. It's the UK trade deal.
Yeah.
But so I can show y'all what I'm looking at on ES.
Let's take a look.
If we're ready for that. I don't want to overwhelm anybody with levels today, right? You guys were overwhelmed with analysis paralysis, so I'll just do this without levels. That'll be fine, right? I'm just kidding. But here is kind of that same pattern that I was talking about earlier in the week, where we're still kind of in this same little consolidation spot. And FOMC was the first thing we had to wait for yesterday to see if that would break us out. We did get a nice little rally overnight after that, but the FOMC yesterday was not that exciting, to be honest. We really just kind of stayed in the same range. So now we're still waiting for that catalyst to kind of pop us out over this. So it's kind of like Forrest was talking, where until you break the range, you're trading the range. And so that's exactly what I'm kind of seeing on ES here too. It's like we have this really clearly defined range. Until we break it, then we have a breakout point that we can trade. That's where we are. So if I move down to the hourly, let's get this is that same little channel that we were in last week. So this is why I leave those on my charts sometimes, is we'll end up kind of right back in them. So we are actually right back in the same channel that we were in before. But so what I'm kind of looking at, we've got this low from, why is that chart weird? I'm trying to look at my other chart and it's throwing me off here. But we had this low from yesterday. And so this is really kind of where, if we're going to call it liquidity or anything, where that would be below. And that's still right at 5,600. I keep saying 5,600 is kind of our lower limit on the market right now. Mm-hmm. And then on the upside, I was looking for us to kind of tag that 5,700, which is what we finally did overnight. Beyond that, I'm looking at this high from Friday, because that's really, we can call it liquidity, we can call it support, whatever you want to call it. There's a level up there. There's going to be orders up there around 57.25. I think the actual high was just below that, 24.75. So those are kind of the areas that I'm watching. I'll show you on my analysis paralysis chart. So that's where that puts us. So this is kind of where I was looking. If Trump excites the market, and we love the news that's coming out about the UK trade deal, we're going to test and potentially breach this high up here.
What do you think he's going to say? Chat, what is Trump going to say? Right, we got a trade deal, UK trade deal.
It's going to be bigly. It's going to be huge. What do you think it's going to be? That's all we know. We know it's going to be huge.
I want to know what chat thinks.
I do too. What are we going to do? Okay. What is the UK deal going to be? And what's the market going to do? But if we like it, I think on ES, the first mission is going to see if we can wipe out whatever sellers are up here at this 57.25 level. So if we break that, we've got targets above. So we can start working on some of those. And it can get kind of lofty, because if you look, we haven't traded any of this in a while. So
yeah, I mean, looking at we can go back to the weekly really quick. So when I'm doing my planning, guys and gals and people, I always start on the weekly. Okay. And I mentioned earlier as well that my trade plan was kind of the same for the past 2 days. That's often the case as well. You don't need to modify and update your thesis. My thesis ended up taking quite a long time to play out, right? It took a long time to play out, and that's totally fine. You don't want to get in the habit of switching things up, with every new candle that closes, right? You're probably right. You're just probably being a little too impatient. But yeah, we're in this low value area here. Okay. And again, with the volume profile, I'm really concerned with the interactions of the current price and people and how they're positioned, right? That's fundamental to the way that I trade. It's just understanding that people are either going to be extremely in pain or they can be extremely in profit. And I want to know where people are positioned so I can interpret that. So we have people up here, right, that are waiting to interact and play the game again. And there's some people here that we just, essentially popped up through. So once we get up here, there's conveniently this prior high, 20,550. I've had it marked for a few days now. And there's this node of people here waiting. So I expect us to interact with this price area. I have a line, right? I have a single price marked, but really this is a price area. We're going to interact with this node. And then same on ES, there's probably something similar. We can jump back over there. Okay, once we get back to higher participation, let's see what it looks like. ES is a little more jagged, actually. So, yeah, so funnily enough, or maybe not funny, it's not the word I'm looking for. Interestingly enough, ES's volume profile has much less bias than NQ does up above, right? Down here, we can see there's a huge low value area, right? The shape of the auction. on the weekly. ES above, like there's a bunch of little nodes, so we still have this high, and like there's this little shelf here, okay, to interact with. But I suspect more divergence as we go higher, just based off of what I'm seeing here. Right? You could just anticipate it because the auctions are shaped differently, so they're going to diverge as we come up. So don't be surprised if that happens over and over on the daily, like intraday. If you're looking at the charts, like, man, why do these things keep getting out of sync? It's because the auctions are shaped a little bit differently on this time frame.
It's one of my favorite things about trading ES or NASDAQ is you kind of have that other sister to rely on for analysis.
Yeah, 100%.
A little bit of a way to cheat and figure out what it's going to do a little bit.
Yeah, there are a ton of trades, and I know some of the guests we've had have talked about. Oh, check this out, by the way, guys. 2 cameras. One day I'm just gonna hook in every camera to the stream. I probably have like 30 cameras in this room. Maybe not. I won't hook them all up, but we'll have a little fun. I've heard some of the guests that we've had have talked about like divergence trading. I trade the divergences, but I really think of it like convergence trading. So when they're diverged, I try to anticipate how they will reconverge, and that's my trade thesis, right? If I can surmise
that's always the
then,
tricky thing is I get asked like, which one do you favor? Like if there's a divergence in ES and NASDAQ, which one do you pick? And I don't think it's as simple as that. You have to kind of look at what the VIX is doing, like which one's in more agreement with the market and which one needs to kind of catch up and get on board.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm curious, like, it seems like you trade a small set of tickers as well. It seems like there's two sets of people. So like Lance B, if you know who he is, like, he very much looks like at a basket of things that are in play. He's scanning the market, essentially. There's other people who scan the market.
Yeah, I don't use scanners. That was
I
overwhelming.
used to do that. I definitely miss out on a lot of trades. I would say that. But on the other hand, like when I have a trade, like,
yeah, you can capture the NASDAQ trades really, really well. Or if you're going to play it with the Qs or anything like that, it makes it a lot easier because I can flip over to the SPY chart really, really quickly if I want to play some options or something, and everything makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I feel like the other benefit is like I can like I literally have a feel for ES and NQ. Like I can there's like the stuff that I talk about that like in the system, but there is like a very intuitive level of trading that exists as well. And like I know these tickers. Like I even have like
I'll poke around and look around, but yeah, it's NASDAQ, ES, and the FANG.
Definitely.
I was waiting to see if Luke's going to pop in with any more surprises. There he is.
I'm back.
I thought you were lurking somewhere.
I'm always lurking. Don't worry.
Getting something ready for us.
Always reading the chat. All right. I want to ask this for the chat, okay? We ask for questions, and we get a lot of psychology questions, which I think is fine and good. But we've been doing this for like 4 weeks now. We never get any questions about specific levels or specific trades on the day today. Like I wanted to get opinions on, hey, I'm bullish for this reason. Forrest, what do you think? I'm bearish for this reason, watching for this target. Barbie, what do you think? So that's my call to arms to all of you in the chat. Secondly, if we want to do giveaways today, we're looking for 700.
700.
The level is set. It is 700. I'm asking for. I'm just reading some of these comments.
Someone said, I asked the same question for 2 weeks, but it never got asked, so I stopped asking. Well, don't give up right before it gets answered, dude. Ask it one more time.
That's like traders. They're almost there, almost ready to make it, and they give up before they figure it out.
Yeah.
Someone said, Forrest, I'm bullish because I'm in debt and I want my buddy to go to the moon. All right. Well, money hates desperation, so change your mindset.
And yes, at 700 viewers, we can do resets. I want to make it a little spicy too. Barbie, Forrest, did either of you take trades yesterday?
I only took one trade.
Could you?
I had a really boring
which you
day.
did on the show.
Yeah.
That was exciting. Can you just break us through it real quick?
Honestly, that was like, so it feels like a few weeks ago. What did I even trade?
I think you hit something to the short side.
I hit a quick little scout. Let me see if I can find it. Because I know I was on the 5-minute chart and I know I had my levels on. Was it this one? I actually honestly don't remember what trade I took yesterday. But
I just took that short. That was it. I was one and done.
yeah, it looks like it would have been something off of this 50 area. Because of the time, I know when it was. It was in the later part of the show, right? Or was it? Did I take an early scalp? I don't remember. I've been trying to get good about those trade recaps, but I had to leave as soon as the stream ended yesterday, and yeah.
Where did you have to go?
The kids' school.
To the moon.
It's the last couple weeks of school. It's like constant, like, oh, we didn't tell you about that thing, but you got to be there. They're driving me crazy.
They're driving you crazy.
I did end up taking some calls. I didn't do this one on stream. I did take some SPY calls later in the day. I can show you this one because this one I was just looking like on my option broker. I have this one yet. What I noticed is we dipped down to the 5,600, but then we reclaimed 5,631. And so I did grab some SPY calls just as a little lotto, some next week calls to see if we get something going today, which we are so far.
Barbie, while you have your chart up, I want to ask about this one from Mark Frank in the chat. He's looking for a move over 57.06. Looking to get long at 56.84. Show us where that's at. Is that interesting?
Hang on a second. 56.84?
Yes.
And he's looking for 57.06?
Yes.
We could get that. What the level that I was looking at down here was 56.80. So he's just above that. But I can see where he got the 84 because that was this swing low from, this would have been right before the London session, I guess. So we do have a swing low there. So that makes that, I mean, I see that bounce area. I would have the stops below the 80 level probably, but I'm still, I try not to have like a super strong bias on the day, but we're pushing these levels that I've been looking to push. And so in order for me to kind of switch to the bearish, we've got to break these lows. And that would kind of be the first area where I'm looking for lows to break around the 56.80. But otherwise we might be kind of, I kind of look at the market level by level. And so overnight we took this level and then we took the next level and then we took the next level.
I think we forgot about something. Maybe you guys said it and I missed it.
What happened?
Trump's announcing the first tariff trade deal today.
Oh yeah, you weren't listening. We talked about that.
Oh,
catch up, Luke. Yeah, we're waiting for it's at 10. So that's what I was saying. I'm going to be flat and ready on the futures anyway. But we're looking for a UK trade deal news.
Here's a question I'd love to answer. Sorry guys, I'm trying to capture these as fast as I can.
No, read the questions while I'm yakking. Go for it.
Got it. All right. So we'll go top to bottom. The person who question was didn't get answered. One more time. Do you trade any divergence between ES or NQ? For example, if ES is going higher while NQ is lagging, do you long NQ expecting a move? I'll answer, then I'll throw it over to you, Barbie. Not necessarily. It's not as simple as NQ or ES is going higher, so then I just long NQ expecting it to go higher. I really care about the volume profile where people are positioned in relation to price, right? It's not always just one goes higher and other one goes higher. It could be the opposite, right? So that's kind of how I think about it. But yeah, what do you think, Barbie?
So I kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, but if I see a divergence, I need some more information. So I'll take a look at VIX and see if we have a good reverse correlation with one and not the other, because that would be some confluence that I could look for. And then I'll also kind of look if we're around any levels, especially any major lows or highs that we're potentially looking to be swept. Because sometimes I'll notice one market will kind of be hesitant to do that. And it's kind of like we're waiting on that. So that I'm kind of waiting to see too, if we're going to take that level before we get another move. So it's not as simple as just like picking which divergence is best. It's finding another clue where you can add some confluence to one side or the other to see which one's going to be the right one to take.
Yeah, 100%.
I saw this other question real quick. Should we do this one with the how do you trade under Trump?
Yeah.
I kind of have an outlook about this, and I know we're beat down because we've had all these surprises, but in general, because Trump has been president before, we have some history that we can look back on. And even though the market gets beat up, just like, Trump will get beat up in the media and everything, at the end of the day, it always seems to end up rallying. So if you kind of take that theme from the first term where buying the lows was the move, I'm trying to keep it in that framework unless something else changes, unless I have evidence that we're not doing that this time. Because so far it's kind of been, I don't know, it all makes sense. We've had these big major drops, but they're always on some shock and awe news. So that makes sense. And then we seem to just always end up recovering at the end of it, which is exactly what we did in the first term.
All right.
Yeah, I think in general, increase VIX. Okay. Like, especially if you're a trader, guys, if you're an intraday or intra-week or intra-month speculator, which is what you are as a trader, right? Just appreciate the VIX being higher and get that extra money. I mean, that's how I think about it. Like him coming on it, like anything that Trump says is actually irrelevant to me as a trader, straight up, unless he's gonna like change trading
We're
laws.
dumping.
Like, yeah.
And Barbie's gonna say this is not a dump, by the way. She's like, oh, just zoom out.
It's not really. It's not really a dump.
I'm trying to make it exciting.
We're not even to 6080 yet.
We're falling off a cliff. Holy smokes!
I'm not impressed.
We might limit. All right. Keeping it clipping for us. Oh my God, we lost Forrest.
You broke him.
All right.
Holy smokes!
All right. Here's what we're gonna do. All right. For all you out there watching, again, not only here to make you smile in the morning, which I do think is important, but we are going to hit a giveaway for all of you out there. Must be a subscriber to be eligible to win. After the giveaway, we are going to bring you the most interesting chart of the day. The most interesting chart of the day. I promise you do not have this one in your mind before we get to it. And then we'll be about 10 minutes off the open, 15 minutes off the open. We're going to go back, look at how the open's going, look at how we're headed into the 10 a.m. news, the 10 a.m. candle. And I want to get more levels. I see Khan in the chat is throwing out levels. Keep them coming. That's what we want. Also, tell me what aura farming means. I don't know what this means.
I don't know,
You need to be hanging around some more Gen Alpha crew. We need
Gen Alpha. Right. What are those people?
Gosh.
Are those like
my gosh.
Children, teenagers. How old is Gen Z now? Gen Z is adults. Yeah, they're like early 20s.
Yeah, Gen Alpha is the teenagers right now. Y'all do not hang around enough of them.
I definitely don't. Like, just want to make sure that everybody knows I'm not hanging on.
They speak their own language.
I don't have any kids.
All right, Kevin.
And my youngest siblings are early or late 20s now, so I'm just old.
Draw. You don't get it.
All right. Are we ready for the giveaway? Again, giveaway, most interesting chart of the day will be 15 minutes off the open. We're going to hit the open. We'll peer pressure Barbie and Forrest into taking some live trades. And then we're having an IRL meetup at Barbie's Ranch. All right, that's the plan for today.
Barbecue.
So without further ado, you must be a subscriber to be eligible to win. Every single day on the stream, we are not only bringing you our thoughts and our trades and our levels on ES and NQ, VIX, gold, stocks, etc. We are also delivering anywhere between $15,000 and $25,000 of prizes a day every freaking day so far. We're 4 weeks in. We're still going strong. Make sure you are subscribed to this YouTube channel. Code is going on the screen now.
There it is.
Top tick. You like that one? 50 of you out there are getting free resets. Code top tick. That is your password to win. Again, must be a subscriber on this YouTube channel to be eligible. I'm going to ask everybody to go ahead and hit the like button on the stream, share this stream. Code top tick. If you got it, throw it in the chat. We want to hear it. Or a farm, whatever that means.
Yeah, we got an Aura farm for MyFundedFutures TV.
I'm farming.
Aura farming.
I'm farming.
All right.
6-7.
What's the next level,
What else we
guys?
got?
The next level for giveaways. We're at 900 right now.
6-7. Anyone with Gen
Alpha.
Alpha gets it right now. Y'all don't get it. Don't worry. It's went right over their heads. It's fine.
I don't know the reference. I got to Google that one.
We got an Aura farm.
All right. Well, we're a farm. All right. Chat. We're at 900 live concurrent viewers on YouTube right now. What should the level be for our next round of giveaways? I see 1269. See 5698. That might be an ES level though.
69,420.
All of you are saying 1,000 are out of you're out of control. The answer is not 1,000. We're 100 away.
They want the OOTD too, Luke.
They
Go
want
for
the
1,400.
All right, if you all want the OOTD, I can do one. I actually got dressed this morning.
I got mine. See, I did too. I was ready this time. I got my Profit Advisory Trading Ranch.
There you
Did
go.
you come prepared today?
Yeah, I love it. We'll do it today.
I'm repping the studio shirt. If you're in Miami
There
and you
you
want to make
go.
content at the best podcast studio in the country, check out the Move Miami. Here every day.
All
Just
right.
saying.
All
What were they
right.
saying? 1,500?
1,500, 1,200. We're setting it at 12. 1,200. Next
Be a
round of
nice one.
giveaways. Again, right ahead, we're about to hit the most interesting chart of the day. And then we're going to take a look at how we're moving off the open about 15 minutes in. So, Barbie, over to you.
Well, Luke said that this was going to be super, super hard to guess, but it's actually not today because obviously we have to talk about this. This was kind of a big spike in the market overnight too because it's Nvidia. But just in case you're under a rock last night, what happened was Nvidia. I mean, it's not the biggest pump Nvidia's ever had, but it's pretty decent. But the Trump administration. Just a second. My voice is broken. Okay, so we had news come out that the Trump administration is ending the AI chip export restrictions. And that is what we got, as the traders like to so eloquently call, a boner candle. So this basically all of the strict controls that they were having over the chip exports, Nvidia and AMD, of course, were very against it. And basically now they have fewer barriers for being able to do their chip business. So there's some other stocks that are kind of up on that pump a little bit too. Like Meta's been up a little bit too. But anybody involved with Nvidia is feeling pretty good today. It's been I think it's been harder to hold lately than it was last year. So it's moving down a little bit this morning, but I think we're still so far ahead of where it was. So we're feeling pretty good on Nvidia over here.
Nice.
Who's holding Nvidia? Where
In
my
my long-term
Nvidia
portfolio.
crew? Yeah.
Yes.
Forrest,
Should
you
be
own it
just
in, like,
about
the
everyone.
long-term port?
What's up?
You own it in like the long-term portfolio?
Yeah, I'm bullish on chip stocks in general. I mean, especially as we build, as AI, like, I won't go on a long spiel about this, but as AI becomes a more prominent vertical, like people are going to need more and more data centers. And so we're going to be cranking out chips for the next 3 decades. So I think near term, like,
about how we're actually having an environmental impact from AI right now because of all these servers, like we were having on Bitcoin, but now we're having it on AI. So it's pretty massive.
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to melt the earth so that we can have
But
AI.
it's okay. We're gonna have
coffee.
Bitcoin and AI.
That's all we need.
Yeah.
I'm curious too, who here trades crypto? Not holds crypto, but actively trades crypto. Drop a 1 in the chat if you do.
That was long, long ago before I learned how to properly read charts. You used to be able to trade the spreads on Bitcoin. That's actually what I did because I didn't know what I was doing, but I kind of found where you could trade the spreads a little bit.
Someone said 10K subs. Everyone should in the chat gets 5 free resets or 5 accounts. look, I got dreams too, buddy.
We had a deal last Friday. We said if we got to 10K that Friday, we'd give away 10,000 free accounts. We didn't make it.
You're very close, though.
They got close. See, Ronnie's saying he misses the Adona days. Sorry that I'm not good enough for you. I miss the Adona days as well. Okay. But Forrest, we're off the open. Talk us through it, sir. NQ, what do we got?
Sorry, I'm holding back my automatic response because we're live streaming. But here we go.
I
know. I want it now.
Don't worry about it.
Is it something mean to me?
Very
worried. It wasn't mean at all. It was completely
inappropriate. I like that.
Inappropriate.
Let's go.
Anyways. We're up here at the highs where we traverse this node. We have yesterday's POC, right, naked down here at 19,854.00. So if we want to do a liquidity grab lower, I'd see us come back and retest that level. Let's see how congruent the charts are. And ES will load for me. This one technically has been tapped already, 56.3750, but still nice D-shaped distribution there. So if we want to do a liquidity grab to go higher, this would be the level. The other option is, okay, because it's Trump talking, essentially news that we have here at 10, right? This thing could just like, shoo, as mentioned, right? The old boner candle, or it could just come and seek the other side of this range here and then come back inside of the, seek this low and then come back inside of the range, essentially. So I don't really have a strong bias. Again, I like, if again I was short up here, okay, really tight risk, right? If you shorted earlier, you could put your stop like literally up here, just at the highs, and you're just looking for, you know, this side essentially, right? That's something that you could do. So really, really simple bracket. Just short the highs, long the lows. Personally, I'm gonna stay flat.
All right, Barbie, your side.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything too exciting. So unfortunately, I'm like, now we're getting into Trump's almost coming on, so I'm probably gonna have to sit and wait a little bit. But basically what I'll be looking for once Trump does come on is how we're interacting with all of the levels. So if we move lower, you know, we've got these, there's another swing low. I haven't marked this one yet, but it's 56.68 would be below us. The 56.50 area, I had 51 pulled, and then the swing low down here, which should be support, 56.41, because we've got that trend line from the hourly down there. So that would be if we keep kind of finding some place down here. But I think these levels could also be kind of bouncy if we get down to them. I'm just everyone gets kind of excited about Trump news, so that's why I'm having a hard time not having a bullish bias. It's kind of like, where are we going to end up buying? So if he comes on and starts breaking through these levels, you know, that just makes a little bit more sense to me. We'll see.
So Barbie, so talk me through this. Like, you have your level.
Like this would be such a great little spot to rally off of if we just magnet here, but that is 15 minutes to sit there.
Can you zoom in? Just make it a little like bigger for me.
Go to the 1 second chart.
Bigger.
Okay, so we have and it's just the watermark's hard to see. What candles are these?
I can darken that for next time. These are 5-minute ES candles, and I have it on because this is just how I organize my levels. I have it on the June contract, so we've got extra letters. I keep my levels on my June contracts, and I keep my continuous contracts clean.
So we broke below your magenta, I'll call it, line level on the bottom there.
Yeah, so this is 5,700. These whole figures have been really, really important, both the 5,600 and the 5,700.
What about the bottom? So, here's what I'm trying to get at is we fell below this level that you had at the bottom. You didn't hop into a trade. No. When do you get the conviction to hop into one? Do you need to see a few candles?
Well, we haven't really, like, we kind of broke below it, but then we, you know, the next one went. Here's the other thing I'm looking at. The volume is really, really low. So if I have a candle that breaks through a level, I want it to have some decent volume. So the fact that this is an opening candle, we expect this one to have a fair amount of volume, but the one next to it, if we're making an aggressive move, should be pretty close to the same size or a little bit bigger. And this one wasn't. And I think in the context of Trump coming on shortly, this just makes a ton of sense. I think most people are going to be kind of sitting on the sideline too, just waiting to see what this is going to be and noticing that even though we're moving lower, this is a good little spot to bounce off of. I'm always kind of trying to anticipate where the level's going or what level's going to be our breakout point, because those breakout levels become really, really strong support and resistance. And like Forrest was showing on his chart earlier, because I know he's really focused on his edges. So you've got kind of the range that we're in. Once that range breaks, that spot is going to be a really important level. So I try to anticipate where those kind of break points are going to be. But a lot of the times those break points have an initiation point too. And that's what I'm kind of watching on this 5681 level. Is kind of, we've had a lot of, let me move this out to the hourly so I can show you what I'm looking at. We've had a lot of action kind of on this level. I don't want to zoom in that much. I'm looking at it right here. Well, I know it's analysis paralysis when we look at levels we're not using. So let me get those off of there. What I'm looking at is we've had all of these little wicks and things that have come up to this level. That's why, to me, this would be an ideal kind of launch pad. That's language I used to use a lot with our group, is launch pad. So would this one be our launch pad? And it could potentially be. It could also fail hard too. That's the thing about breakout levels. They're also really good reject levels. So I do think this is going to be an important level today. Hopefully it does, and hopefully I'm right and it ends up being a launch pad and I can print pretty hard on those SPY calls that I bought yesterday, because I'm still holding on to those. Some of them anyway. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at that level, is I know that we're retracing down to it right now, but that doesn't scare me.
Okay.
It doesn't, just because we've broken a previous level doesn't mean we're going to break this one. You see how strong, I mean, it's supported literally by a bunch of little wick highs.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just kind of like a melting move, but it's not an important move, again, based on the volume. So if I go back into the 5-minute volume, we're losing volume on the day rather quickly. Which backs up that thought of anticipating Trump.
We're pushing a little bit lower here. Let's see. Let's see if shorting the highs was the move, folks.
It could have been. There's that pre-market. If you'd short on ES, if you'd shorted 5,700 pre-market off after the data, but that's that time period that I don't like to trade. I suck at it. Even though I can see things in hindsight, I don't execute well during that time. So.
Yep. So we have this little post-settlement open yesterday. Well, not settlement open really, but last night, 20,061 edge that we're about to sweep right now. Let's see if we react to this. If react, we're going to mean revert pretty quickly back to 20,173 right here. Otherwise, right, and I'll draw that out for you folks. We'll mean revert, right? We just swept this edge right here. This is going to come right back to the POC, right? 20,160. If not, we're going to crater down to this naked POC that I mentioned earlier. So that is what I'm watching. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. I am in a little short.
Oh, he got in on the action.
You're in on it, Forrest?
I've been short for a while. You know, it's just I was alluding to it.
Okay.
Analysis earlier. Let's see.
Yeah, I didn't grab it, so I'm not in
target?
It at this point. It's
Do you have a trailing stop? Talk us through it a little bit, Forrest.
This would be the first place that I would look. So if we start to bottom wick here, let's actually zoom in a little bit. All right, so we have value area low right here. If we crack value area low, it's going to mean revert all the way back up to the point of control, which is very likely. We have a D-shaped distribution. So in order for this to continue, we need volume. This needs to not be a D-shaped distribution, right? It needs to not be normally distributed, right? And so we should see volume come in at these prices, right? Down here where it's skinny belly right now, right? So essentially an imbalance. And if we look at the shape of yesterday's volume profile, right, we can see that this is also, whoops, pretty normally distributed with a ton of bias down here, right, towards the POC. So let's see what we get. We have 9 minutes until we get the fast forward button at 10.
That's a good way to look at it.
I'm totally cool with, I'm gonna take those profits right there. So we'll see. I'm not gonna hold. See, it's come back up to VAL here.
So you're
very
booked?
likely gonna mean revert. But if this would have kept going lower, and not did this little bottom looking, I would have held. Because we have data in 9 minutes, I'm not holding anything right now.
I hate these 10 o'clock news drops because then I'm just sitting here extra time. But
I don't mind.
Man, they do print afterwards though. Can we just like speed it up, put it earlier in the day?
My thing with big movements, like if there's ever a large movement that you didn't have a read on or anticipate, the market always moves in waves. And so it's like it's easy to get caught up like, oh, I missed the wave. But like the result of a wave is always another wave. There's always another one. So it's like you could just wait for the next one. There's going to be a wave. There's going to be consolidation. And there's going to be another wave. That's how the market works. And so if you miss a move, you should immediately wait, and then another move will come. So I've learned that through years of experience, guys. It's not like, but
that's what my little mill roll does on the lower time frames. It kind of helps me see. I always think of it as breaths, like an inhale and an exhale, because that's what it looks like to me on a chart. It's like a little. It's literally as a wave, but I always need the visuals, so that's actually why I built that tool. I haven't played with it very much on the higher time frames, though. I've always meant to, but haven't. See how I can turn it into a swing trading tool.
All right, I'm going to interrupt you all for a second, and then we're going to go to education. So far, folks, we've talked about ES, we talked about NQ, we talked about Nvidia, we talked about the open, we talked about a short trade that someone has on. We've got big news, potentially big news, rolling out at 10. Into that, I'd like to deliver on something we give you every single freaking day, which is an educational lesson, a time where we take a break from what's happening in the markets right now to help you focus on the fundamentals, to help you focus on what it takes for you to become a better trader. Before that, I'm putting a link in the chat. Click on this link and buy an account. The instructions are simple. Click on the link, buy an account. It helps us. It helps Barbie. It helps Forrest. I even got a code in there. The code is YouTube, which is for 20% off of Starter Plus accounts. So again, click on the link. Check out the account. We'll get rolling. Somebody asked for life lessons from Luke. I do have a depressing one.
Oh, no.
But maybe a positive message somebody needs to hear. And then we're getting to education. But I had to step out for about 5 minutes earlier in the stream to talk to my mom for a second. 2 years ago, my mom was a professor at University of Michigan Medical School, which is like a major hospital system complex, et cetera, et cetera. And, now she's confused where she is over a really quick period of time. And so my takeaway and lesson on all of that is we all have the capacity to make someone smile today. We all have the capacity to further a relationship, deepen a relationship with someone that we love. So take your opportunity to do it today. That's my life lessons with Luke.
Wow, dude, that was good, man.
Sort of a depressing one. Yeah, it sucks.
It's not really depressing.
A positive spin. But Barbie, why don't you take us through our educational tidbit today, and then we'll be rolling right out on 10 a.m., and we'll see how we're moving amid this Trump news. Very good chance that he's going to be late and that it'll take a while to get to the actual news. But we'll take a look at 10 and see what happens.
Yeah, I'll make sure we get this wrapped up, y'all. I'm watching the time, but y'all yell at me. But so we had FOMC yesterday, and I know everyone says, oh, don't play data. Data's too scary. There are kind of some ways you can play data, and I kind of do play data sometimes. I don't do it live because it's way too hard to follow. Even the little millisecond delay will not work. So I'm going to kind of show you what I look at. So I don't do this every day, and I actually didn't yesterday just because I was busy. But if I am going to play data, this is how. So we're looking at the 1300 candle because this is the one. This is the data candle on my chart. Since I'm in Central Time, FOMC drops at 1300. So this is the candle, and I wait. I wait for the entire first candle to develop, and then I look at the next one. This next one is where I get my clues. So I'm on a 5-minute chart. I've tried doing this on lower time frames and it messes me up. I like the 5-minute, but you can try it on lower time frames, see what you get. The second candle is where I need to really kind of watch and see. So I'm looking at the wicks, and this candle has wicks on both sides, so it's not like a super easy example, but I am noticing how the bodies of the candles are really staying above this level. It's kind of the 5602 here. So that shows me that every single time price went below that, it was immediately bought up. So now on the third candle, this would kind of be my trigger candle, and this one's not super clean. I would prefer that this wick was a little bit smaller, but what I look to do is buy when we break out over this wick and then go to basically the midpoint of the candle. So if I take a Fibonacci and I put it on this candle right here, now I have the midpoint of it. So there's not a lot of meat on the bone here, but if you were to break out of the if you buy the high of the second candle or sell the low of it, but we'll talk about the retracement version right now, I would first be looking for that midpoint. At the midpoint, I move my trade to break even and then see if we can get some more of this retracement, hopefully to get the full retracement, but that doesn't always work. So that's if we get the retracement version of it. If we don't get the retracement version of it and we break out of the low of this candle, then I'm looking for the extension version. So what that looks like, that would be selling this low here, which is not what happened, but it can happen. So we either get the reversal or the continuation. Sometimes it chops, but rarely. Usually we get the reversal or the continuation. So in this case, I would look to buy the low of that on this third candle. I would look to buy the low of the second candle and then target the extensions. And if there's a level down here, I'm going to favor a hard analysis level over a Fibonacci, but that would be what I would be looking for on the short side. So that's a really, really quick version. I'll try to do a longer version of this sometime where we can go through a lot of examples. But instead of trying to play, the short story is, instead of trying to play that first candle, I wait for the second one to develop, and then I play the third. Usually, that's the main play I do for data. So today, let's go. Well, let me switch over to this one. Today I have my little orb tool on there, so it's just kind of to give me some, what am I looking for? Just some reference points, I guess. So I've noticed that this one is kind of right, the high for our orb is kind of right at this magic level around 94, which is kind of right at that mid-century too. So that'll kind of be the first area that I'll be watching when Trump comes on, but I'm not going to engage with it first. I want to just kind of see where it reacts. And I do pay attention to where it goes relative to other levels I have on the chart, but we got like 20 seconds now. So I'm going to wrap that up. We'll see if Trump comes on time.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I know we say 10 a.m., but I think it will take a minute for the news to come out, unless there is some press release, which is possible.
8 seconds.
But I wouldn't expect a press release.
I have this orb set for 15-minute right now. Whoever was asking.
A lot of great suggestions came in, by the way. I asked the chat what videos, what topics you want me to cover on the MFF channel. I took note of all of them. So thank you for your participation.
I do have a big opening range breakout video that I'm working on. There's no way I'm going to get it done this week with my kids' schedule, so it's probably next week. They're killing me with this end of school year stuff, man. I'm serious. The other parents are feeling my pain. I know it.
That's funny.
10 o'clock. Candle just closed. All right, let's check the 4-hour. 4-hour just closed. High volume down candle. We still have it's not normally distributed, but there is a clear bias in the middle of our VP here. Overall, yeah, probably going to mean revert. Like I said, we'll see. We got to see. It's also data time though, so competing priorities there. But not mad about cutting that short, taking profits on that little sweep of that price that I mentioned. Right? We came here, we barely interacted with the edge of this auction at this time period here. Took those folks out, and we got a little bottom wick as expected. So let's see if we start to, some volume is coming in at this price area. If we stick down here, right, if we fail to sweep this high, 20,126, this bar closes under this, then we might have a little intraday downtrend forming. Otherwise, this will probably just be the low, come back higher, and that'll be it. I'm being patient though, just waiting. Got one scalp in and 1-1. Don't want to take too many trades today, honestly. Maybe one more. We'll see.
Well, while we're waiting for something to develop, I saw a good question. I think it's a fun question anyway. What's the luckiest trade you've ever had?
That is a fun question.
The luckiest trade? Ooh.
Yeah.
I was in.
Of course, not skill. Not. I mean, it could be a little bit skill, but more luck.
What's the that biking Peloton?
Yeah.
I had like a 15K put position on Peloton. That was a swing trade. It's a swing trade, right? Literally minutes after I buy these puts, I can't remember what the news was. Some news comes out that they're like going broke and the chart just falls off a cliff. So I get into a swing trade and it instantly like 10x. And I was like, huh.
Nice.
I was like, we take those. So that was cool. It's funny because I was talking about the trade like live. I was like, hey guys, I'm getting to the swing position, blah, 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 blah. And then I just instantly made money and I was like, all right, I'm out.
That makes you look good too. Then you feel extra good.
I'm out the trade, guys. It worked out. So that's the luckiest I've ever.
The one that came to mind for me was when I very first started streaming like a year and a half ago. I was still very overwhelmed by all the tech of just adding the streaming to it. And so I was putting on a trade and I thought I was taking 12 MESs, but I hadn't switched my chart over. So I was still on ES. So I accidentally took 12 ES instead of 12 MES. Nice. And I'm so glad that worked out. I mean, I immediately exited it, but we immediately ticked in the right direction, like kind of quickly too. So
we've all done that. I hate to say I've also traded the wrong ticker, and I've had both.
It doesn't always work out.
I've had it go in my favor and I've had it go against. And what's funny is I always beat like my students over the head. I'm like, guys, don't do dumb stuff. But it's like I'm stretched so thin that I'm like switching tabs and stuff, and then it's like, oh crap.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Like, geez, I have an excuse, right? I'm doing a lot. Barbie's doing a lot. Don't make dumb mistakes. If you do make a dumb mistake, all right, don't make the same one twice. You should not.
Well, if you do make an error, you should get out immediately instead of saying, "Well, I've even done that the other day. Like I didn't mean to put it in that account. I had a trade going on in the wrong account, and so the drawdown was not okay." And it's like, well, and I hesitated, and then it made it way worse.
Yeah. I would say in risk management in general, last thought, if you're ever in a trade and you feel any emotion at all, just cut it. Just cut it, right or wrong. Just get out.
All right, folks. So far today, we've not only entertained and engaged you, which we are the most fun stream, I would say, at least prop firm sponsored stream out there. So don't forget about that. But we also talked about the key levels and how we're handling ES and Q, Nvidia. We looked at the open. We got a little educational tidbit. Forrest fell out of his chair. And we have a very special guest to bring you as well. Again, the idea is really just to do whatever it takes to make you a better trader. It's not only to entertain and engage, but ultimately to make you a better trader. We really pride ourselves on bringing you experts like Forrest and Barbie and the very special guests that we're bringing in, who can deliver the education, who can deliver the charts, who can deliver the trades that ultimately drive you to your goals. And so I'm going to ask everyone out there to like the stream, subscribe to the channel, share the stream. And if we get back to 1,000 live viewers, we might have a little giveaway celebration for you all. So without further ado, I would like to welcome a very special guest making his debut on MFTV, Mr. Matt Cowart. Let's go ahead and bring him on to the stream with us. How are we doing?
Hey guys, what's up? Good to see y'all again. What's up, Luke, Barbie, Forrest? How's it going?
Well, Forrest is kind of here, I guess.
I saw him walk by. Maybe he can hear me from the other side of the room.
He's got ants in his pants.
Yeah. How's it going? How's trading going today?
I haven't gotten anything done yet. I'm just watching some swings.
Yeah.
Forrest got in a short, got that booked.
Yeah, Forrest on the same page as me. It's very rare that I wake up feeling to short the market, but we're losing key levels, and so I'm taking a chase on it today, which would be like very, very, very rare for me.
Matt, can you talk us through it? What do you have on, or did you have on, all that sort of thing?
Yeah, so basically, we lost very key levels. So monthly gamma exposure levels in NASDAQ, which is equivalent.
Row.
20,116 is that is a key level that's going to accelerate.
Wait, say that for. Sorry, Matt. Could you say that level again, please?
So 4750 is a key break point for the market to hold on QQQ, and then anything below. And translated to NASDAQ futures is 20,116. So, like the probabilities of us breaking through that per our back is like about 25%. And so it's rare to break through it. But if it does break through with velocity, the market could crash out. Now, the reasoning behind that is likely because, you know, I've been the most bullish person since April the 10th. And today I'm finally starting to feel weird about it because yesterday's activity, you know, we had Trump made the announcement like 8 minutes before the FOMC, which, by the way, this guy has no awareness of the market. When he came up with this thing talking about China, like minutes, we're all like hesitating for the FOMC. Then Trump's throwing curveballs at us a couple minutes before, talking about, you know, the 145% tariff for China is still on the table. He's not negotiating with him on that. And I remember that whenever I did the trade war trading last term, they're going to get together and he's going to be stubborn. They're all going to be stubborn and they're going to leave this Geneva thing with no deal. And I think Wall Street's perceiving that today. While they do want to meet and the market bumped and rallied off of that. Look, my trade is, you can stop right on my screen. My short is taken off right now, which is pretty good. But yeah, you know, they're going to get together. They're going to argue it out. They're going to beat their chests online for a couple months and not come up with any deal anytime soon. So I'm still bullish the market in general that they will come up with one, but I don't think they're going to come up with one this week or next week, you know. So Wall Street's digesting that.
I like your take on it though, because I think we do have the cheat code right now, which is looking back at how things happened last time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's like the same script. Yeah.
I wasn't trading then, so it's not like coming naturally. I'm having to go back and look at it, but I have noticed that the more and more, the farther we get into it, the more we're just repeating the same thing.
100%. And with Trump not wanting to negotiate, they're going to basically come out. I remember last time they had their first meeting, we know we're all sitting there waiting for some kind of result. And then while the meeting's happening, you hear some people buzzing about, oh, they had their ear to the wall and like listening through and then phoning their friends and saying, hey, they're not making a deal. They're making a deal. Rumors were flying like hour before they came out of the meeting, and the market went up and then it went down and then it went up. I mean, it was crazy. And then they ultimately walked away without resolving anything. And the market didn't actually like that. And I think this time around, it's kind of the same thing in reverse. I mean, the same thing all over again. You know, two stubborn people get together and not going to come out with a deal. So Wall Street's kind of pricing in the fact that a deal is going to happen very quickly. And I think that my perception of that's not going to come as quick as we think.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if it was resolved anytime quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're hovering at the lows of the session so far, right? RTH, not including overnight or settlement open. I was short earlier, already cut that because we had that little bottom wick behavior. We'll see. I will re-short just because this would be the absolute worst place to short if I'm wrong. If we crack this and start to build a little value lower, then I'll hold it for a run down to 19,854. But flat for now.
Yeah, I just closed out my short scalp. So I took a short scalp across a bunch of my accounts a little bit ago, and I just closed out. So basically the halfway point between where we gapped up in the equity. So when my style is kind of a little interesting, I think, compared to what a lot of people do, but I watch QQQ while trading Nasdaq futures. I look for clues in all places. Bottom right of my screen, this is what all the stocks are doing. These indicators are following what the stocks and the index are doing. This is the ETF, and then this is the futures. So I got all my levels together. And this is breaking a key hedging level in QQQ, which is causing that downward momentum. And while this orange line is starting to deteriorate, it means more and more stocks are starting to deteriorate. So this is one of those very cautious days that I'm not taking any longs from here. When you break through this line, about 25% of the days it happens, the market tends to overreact to the bad side. So kind of day to sit out.
I think that's why I'm struggling today. I was all ready to hit this today because we were kind of waiting
I know.
earlier in the week. And then this Trump thing has just kind of thrown me a curveball.
Yeah.
Matt, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm saying I have some lower targets today of 20,031 is that next bounce point. I might have closed my short a little early, but losing this key level in Nasdaq is not going to be good. This might actually sell off pretty hard today. The first thing I came to the stream, I was looking at my stream this morning. I was looking at this and I was like, man, I just got this weird feeling about today. And I normally don't trade off of feelings. And like I heard you say this morning, Forrest, because I was lurking you guys' stream before I got on. And you were like, anytime you feel something, get out of the way. And I can't agree with that more. If you feel a certain way, maybe Luke, one of you guys are saying it, but like if you feel something, stand on the sidelines. You don't want to feel anything. If something feels off, your subconscious remembering something from the last time you got your butt whooped, or I don't know, and just listen to it. You know what I mean? Stay on the sidelines.
It's because, well, it could be a lot of feelings. It could be fear. It could be hope, right? One of the things that people will say is like, I hope this works out. And it's like, why are you hoping? Like, we're playing poker. You play the hand. There should be some set risk or some price where your thesis like fails completely, right? You shouldn't that's why you don't hold the trade red forever. It's like, you'll take a little drawdown, but at some point it's like, you're just absolutely wrong. So like, yeah, the emotions in trading, I think confidence is something you should feel. I think you have to be confident and like ready to make money to be a profitable trader. But yeah, if you're feeling something else, just go flat, take a walk, take a break, come back.
I think a lot of times we feel like we're ready to go do this. And then when we actually start doing it, we realize we weren't. And it might be because we're over leveraged or didn't back test the trade properly. There's some work that still needs to be done.
Oh yeah.
Matt, I want to ask you.
Wait, do you mind if I interrupt?
Yeah, go for it, guys.
Go ahead.
All right, Matt, I am not a trader. I am merely the lowly host. But I like to bring some fun and some energy. And while you're on this stream, Matt, we hit 10,000 subscribers. We're about 3 weeks into our stream.
Guys.
Let's go.
So we're getting there. Coming up in the world. We're not on Matt Cowart level yet, but we're coming up in the world. So well, I was going to say, Matt, I would like to celebrate with some giveaways. What do you think about that?
I love giveaways. What are you giving me? I'm just kidding. Awesome.
So,
yeah, I think that's a great idea. Giving away some accounts to the audience.
How about 50 accounts? Is that too many?
Wow.
Did I lose my mind?
That's incredible.
All right.
I don't think you lost your mind. That's appropriate.
It's appropriate. So we're going to do, all of you saying you want 1,000 free accounts. This is why I don't want to do them anymore. I give away $15,000 of free stuff every day, and it's never enough. I guess this may be preparing me to be a parent taking care of this chat. But all right, we have 50K starter plus accounts. You got it? 50K starter plus accounts. Matt, I am going to put the code on the screen. And could I ask you to read off the code for us?
All right.
All right.
On the screen.
50K starter accounts. You must be a subscriber on this YouTube channel to be eligible to win. Code is going on the screen now. And Matt is going to read it for us.
50K starter plus codes. Rocket Scooter 50. All one word. Rocket Scooter 50.
That's it.
Rocket
Beautifully
Scooter
read.
50.
Can we get a W, Matt, in the chat? Beautifully read. First time giving away accounts on this stream. We're celebrating.
Awesome.
I want to see those W mats flowing. There they are. If you won the account, drop it in the chat. Let us know that you won.
See, I got it. That's always my favorite.
There it goes.
Still holding this price right here. Very sticky.
Can we take
Mhm.
all right, sorry. That was my little distraction. Back to the charts. Forrest, let's take a look at your chart and see if Matt has any opinions.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll do my buy pane view here. Let's open up the session volume profile. So not much has changed. So we need to see volume. We had some volume build here, but we're holding below the VAL. So anytime we hold out, so long as we have a normal distribution or like a D-shaped VP, I should say. If we hold above or below the value area low or value area high, that tends to be an early sign of continuation, right? So the longer we hold below VAL, the more likely it is to run lower, because the market's essentially, in a really simple terms, there's a bunch of people up here, and the auction is basically saying, hey, we're taking over right down here, right? So sell aggressors are pushing away from where everybody's participating, right? And then where are they going to go to? Well, they're going to go to the next place of participation. So long story short, not much has changed other than what's interesting is that we're really just stuck here, right? The last few minutes, we've been talking, giving stuff away. Price has been kind of stuck down here. Slow day overall, though, I will say, right? OPEX, stuff like that. So yeah, just it's a slower day. My volume is gone for some reason. Where did that go? All right, I'll fix that in a second. But yeah, that's really what I'm looking at. I want to see if any volume at all actually comes in here. I'm watching the VP. It's not really shifting, even though we're wedged down here, which just tells me like there's literally no one's participating right now. Just
the volume has increased a little bit just on that 10 a.m., but it's still not that impressive.
Yeah.
It's for Trump news anyway. I'm looking at ES, but I got my 2 NASDAQ guys on here. That's fine. Maybe I'll join you one of these days.
I look at ES. I'm just on NASDAQ duty per Luke, but I watch both every single day. But they're both bottom looking right now.
I do put you on NASDAQ duty. That's true.
So I literally use ES as my like main analysis tool. But
because the volume's nice on ES, isn't it? Like it's easier to analyze.
It's just cleaner. Less volatile, I guess is probably the word. But
that's when I started using volume tools is when I started appreciating ES a little bit.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. So not much to do here, honestly, other than see how we interact at this edge of the auction. Yeah. Matt mentioned that there's also, his key levels here. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Prior day high, right? Edge of the auction. I'm not watching if Trump is talking. I don't know if any of you guys are watching like a live feed. I don't know if he's up or not, but
I wait for the sound bites because they're the best anyway.
Yeah, they are. Let me take a look and see if he's talking yet.
The funny clip from the other day, you don't even have to have sound when the Canadian Prime Minister is there and he says something about Canada not being for sale and Trump's over there like, like, but, well.
How much money until it is for sale? No. Yeah, we're just on the daily. We're just wedged in this. We're in this shelf. We're also building this shelf on the daily as we chop here. I think it's important here in terms of like shorts and bias as well. Like we're also just in a range. Like
that's why I wanted to break higher too. Like I personally liked my bullish plan better than losing that level because now we're kind of back inside of all that price action that I was talking about that lends itself to chop.
Yeah.
So even if we get like a walk down through here, it's going to be slower than a breakout of the highs would have been. But that's, market's got a market.
Yeah. It doesn't look like Trump's talking yet. Or if he is, nothing of note is out yet. Because none of the financial newswires have anything out.
Oh, I just saw something on my news feed. Trade announcement has been reportedly pushed back to for 30 minutes. So he's on in 10 now.
Oh wow.
So Ash has to deal with them. We're going to pass the Trump problem to Ash.
He'll have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Matt, I'd like to ask something that the question that we see in the chat often. Just talk us through how you get prepared in the morning. What is your process? What does your routine look like?
Yeah, so I have basically a very strict pre-market routine. I'm always up and about. I have my own stream, so I usually start an hour before market opens, and I kind of go through what I do every single day. First thing I always do is get up and read the news. I have this really cool news aggregator that I use. Have you guys ever used Financial Juice?
I've heard of it. Yep.
Yeah, Financial Juice is like you tie in all your news feeds into one spot, and you can basically see it all like a kind of a Twitter style feed. And I load that up every day. I read the headlines. I'm just like, what did Wall Street Journal say? What did Reuters say? And then I look at everything, and then I basically get a feel for what happened overnight. I check key levels and markets around the globe. I look at Asia, I look at Europe, make sure everything's looking kind of like, did they crash? Did they rally? Then in the morning, I always make sure I get the economic calendar out and make sure I know what the news is. And I understand that I don't usually trade around news or trade around events. I avoid those as much as I can and try to trade before or after them. And then I'll analyze, and that's all pre-market. And then what I also do is I get my platform and I have some indicators that I can look for to see if the market's still kind of like within stable ranges. On my particular chart, you see this green line right here. And so the green lines form these bands where futures kind of become stable or unstable in the overnight. And as long as we're inside the green bands, market's pretty okay. And where I wrote on my screen, market's okay here, it's a tradable range. Outside of the bands, I trade a little bit differently. And then I always kind of share these little cheat sheets that I've made. Let me see if I can pop this one up and show you guys what I'm looking for. And I have these little guides that I made that I just follow what I do off of this. So inside of the bands,
there we go. Sorry, we still had my screen up there.
Sorry. I'll show you guys pop my screen on there.
We see it now. We're caught up.
Okay.
See your screen.
So I have this sort of on futures, I have these green bands. So like the platform that I use will populate with these bands. It has to do with futures ranges. It's a technique based on margin requirements. And so outside of the range, the futures is stretched a little too far for comfort. And inside the range, it's a little more tradable. And then I get out my cheat sheets that go with all of my futures, and I basically follow my trade plans off of this. So inside of these two green bands, market's stable. Outside of it, I do different things. So I just review sort of my setups, and then I say, okay, this is what I have available to me. And then I wait for the market to open. And when the market opens, I get my key gamma exposure levels printed out, and then I look at everything. And I make decisions basically off of that. But pre-market, I'm always prepped with understanding what's going on. I can sort of forecast what I think the day is going to be like based on how the week has been and other things. And then I just essentially wait for the data to come out. Then I take my trade off of it. And usually if we've moved too far, too fast overnight, a lot of times I'll just kind of sit out. The day looks weird. So out the door, right, we open. I didn't do anything until we broke this key level on my screen. And then I started shorting it. And that's basically it. It's a pretty simple process, but I'm basically just looking for volume and then trying to follow the volume as much as I can.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Matt, we're starting to roll up on the end of our time together, unfortunately. I would like to ask you not only how can users stay in touch, but also for some final words of wisdom into this Thursday that we have ahead.
Let's see. Words of wisdom. I would say that, when it comes to the trade war stuff, it's a repeat of what we've had before. This is something we've seen. You have to think when you're trading, what is the motivation of the people? When you're trying to win at trading, right? Most people think they have to predict the stock market, but instead of thinking that way, because the stock market is very random and unpredictable, really what you want to do is predict what people's motivations are. Why are people going to do what they're going to do? Because that's really what moves things around. If you have to think about what's going on with this trade war, is, Trump is trying to build American greatness and the economy up. And the last thing he wants to happen is a market crash. So in the back of my head, I always am thinking about this, despite the good news, the bad news, whatever, is that Trump is a minute away from just rallying the market as high as he wants it to go with whatever he wants to say to make it happen. If the market starts crashing on his own watch while pushing so hard the trade war, just like last time, he's going to back off so the market doesn't crash, because he's the kind of president that doesn't want people to say anything bad about him about that. And so, his motivation is to not have that happen. He'll push as hard as he can until that looks like it's going to happen. The market's going to rescue itself. So when you think in the back of your head, the motivations of the people behind this trade war, nobody wants it to crash or sell off. So it's basically a stalemate. So it tells you that the market is probably not going to collapse or not going to plunge into recession, because it's just one person that can push a button to make it happen, and they don't want it to happen. So I'm still not sitting there trying to think the market's going to zero or we're going to fall, or we'll be like, all losing our jobs and pandemonium is going to happen. Try to think about the motivations. And as a trader, try to always think beyond the news just a little bit, one more layer behind, and why are people doing what they're doing? It's always a good clue. And it helps you kind of get ahead of the market just a little bit.
Awesome. Beautiful. Matt, we thank you for joining us today. I saw some comments saying you are the best guest that we've had so far.
Let's
No
go.
shame on our other guests.
Wow. Thank you.
But
Shame.
Really appreciate that.
I'm kidding. Not shame. Shout out to all the guests, especially Matt, though.
I think we got some really good perspective on trading the Trump era, which is great.
It was amazing. Yes. We got the levels. We got the perspective. We got the setup for the day. Forrest, Barbie, I want to send it to you for some final thoughts. But stay tuned, folks, because our next hour begins in just 3 minutes. Forrest, Barbie.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. So first things first. Rest in peace, Uncle Phil. I'm kidding. We have I
got that. That was good.
Bimodal distribution for me here on NQ, right? Bimodal, this means two modes, right? So versus kind of this normal distribution on ES. So we have a divergence in the auction. As I've said, I'll continue to beat this horse. Okay, we want the indices to be in sync, or we want to trade around the expectation that they will be in sync, right? So whether they're in sync or not is kind of irrelevant. We know that they will eventually converge. And so typically when you have a bimodal distribution, by the way, if it's on both tickers, you'll tend to aggregate or consolidate on one side, and then you'll get a fast move to the other distribution. Okay. D-shaped volume profile, you just expect it to traverse the range. Okay. You just expect value area low to value area high. It's kind of a normal D-shaped day, D-day distribution. So right now, because we're still waiting on Trump, again, nothing has really changed. Just kind of wanted to note that there is a divergence in the actual auction where people are participating. Me not doing anything still. So, yeah.
All right, Barb.
I'm really watching this 5680 level. I'm going to keep watching that one. So my chat will get tired of me talking about it, but that's the one that seems to be kind of holding the price for now. So I'm watching to see if we reclaim that. And it does end up being our launch pad today. I also wanted to mention go watch Ash after this. And if you want more, you can hop onto my channel at 11:30 Central, 12:30 Eastern for an options spreads class. If y'all have ever wanted to know about spread trading with iron condors and butterflies and verticals and all that stuff, I'm going to cover that live. So if you have questions, you can ask them. I'll drop that link in the chat.
Let's go.
Awesome. Alrighty, Matt. Forrest, Barbie, I appreciate you being here with us on this Trading Thursday, Trump Thursday, News Thursday, Fun Thursday. And I would like to welcome our chat to our very next segment with Ash Trades. How's that?
Sounds good.
All right.
I'm not Ash, though.
Sometimes, I think you could be. All right, folks. As I mentioned, we are rolling into our next hour of content. The unicorn man himself, Ash Ketchum, Ash Trades, is joining the stream. In our first 90 minutes, we covered ES, we covered NQ, we covered Nvidia, we covered how we're looking at the Trump news. We had a very special guest with us. We are clipping, we are moving, we are grooving. We've got another round of giveaways coming to celebrate this 10K subscriber mark, so stay tuned. Like the stream, subscribe to the channel, share the stream. Ash, how many likes should we be on the hunt for in order to hit a giveaway?
Hitting a giveaway. It looks like we're around closing in on 500 now. Maybe can we double that? Can we double that?
1,000? You're crazy. Crazy Ash.
We need a 2x on the likes.
All right. You heard it. 1,000. Another round of giveaways to celebrate
There's
our good friend
1,400
Ash.
people watching. If everybody just hits it once, I mean, you'd be there.
If everybody hits it once, you'd be there. Share it away. Have your grandma like it, your Discord like it, your ex-girlfriend, boyfriend like it. Chat does not think it's happening, Ash. I believe in you, though.
Let's see.
Let's see.
Please do. Prove me wrong.
If there's a will, there's a way. That's all I'll say. All right, Mr. Ashy. We are rolling into a heavy news segment. Announcement is supposed to be out at pretty much right now, 10:30. It was the Trump trade deal with the big, highly respected country. We know it's the UK. It was supposed to be announced at 10 a.m. It got pushed back to 10:30. I'm doing a quick check on the news wires now. I still don't see anything out on it yet. So we'll get there and expect within the next 30 to 60 minutes we'll have that news coming out. But what else is ahead? What should we be thinking about for this next hour?
We all know the impact that Trump has. So to be honest, we need to be aware of the news. This man, he gets on Twitter, and the moment he posts anything, price goes flying. So we need to stay on top of the news without a doubt. I know it's not going to be shown on the economic calendar, but get your news sources out so that we're aware of when that, decision is made.
Awesome. All righty, sir. Take it away.
All righty.
Turn it to you. Actually, Ash, before I turn it to you, will you give us some background on yourself and your trading style again, please?
Absolutely.
All right. Just, warm us up. We're on day 4.
Yeah. So I'm a futures day trader. I focus on NQ and ES. So you guys will watch me watch NQ or ES each morning. I'm looking to participate in intraday trades. I look to take advantage of volatility within the New York session to make, 5-minute chart trades, 15-minute chart trades, stuff that happens within the daily session. So I'm looking to open a trade in the morning, close it within that day, go on about my day. My goal here is I look to use day trading to create the income for the long-term positions. So, MyFundedFutures and their accounts that they provide, absolutely phenomenal. I couldn't speak more highly of it. In my opinion, the 50K expert account is the best account on the market. No activation fee, no consistency rules. It's incredible. The leverage that is provided with these accounts is phenomenal. And that's the purpose of using them. If you were to go and set up your own cash account, the maintenance or margin required to do so is a lot more than the cost of an eval. So
Ash,
go ahead.
can I make a deal with you?
Absolutely.
All right. This week, we're running a deal where anybody can get 20% off of a Starter Plus account. And again, this is coming from the trustworthy, transparent, objective prop firm, rules designed for you. No activation fees ever. 20% off a Starter Plus account this
Amazing.
week. I'm going to put a link and a code in the chat for users to do that. If we get enough play out of users purchasing those Starter Plus accounts, I want to see at least 10. Maybe we run an expert deal next week.
That would be my favorite. As I just stated, the expert accounts are phenomenal. So Luke here is giving you guys a phenomenal deal, and I would take that. If you're watching,
I need to see some play on the Starter Plus, though.
yeah. So what are we going with? 10?
I need at least 10.
10 Starter Pluses.
And do you guys want a flash sale discount on the eval to live? We can maybe deliver on that too.
Eval
Highly
to
coveted,
live.
these big flash sales that we have on the eval to live. So just looking for some feedback on that one. But all right, Ashy, you were talking about expert plans. I cut you off so we can make this deal about the Starter Plus. Keep going.
Take the deal, guys. I'll start there with taking the deal because that was a phenomenal one. So in my opinion, those 50K expert accounts are the best accounts on the market. No consistency rule is just incredible. No activation fee is also incredible. So, in my opinion, to be able to take advantage of that leverage, the leverage being the cost of the eval compared to how much it would cost to fund a cash account, is worth the risk. Give me 2 seconds. I don't know why my camera keeps losing focus. Apparently, if I put my hand up to it, it'll refocus, but it's not yet. Hold on. Let's see. All right, there we go. So where I was going with that is taking the chance for the leverage in those 50K accounts is worth the risk because, the margin or the maintenance required to fund those cash accounts is a lot more than that. So use those accounts, get those payouts, and then use that money to fund those long-term positions. As you guys have seen, I'm quite bullish. I've probably forever been a bull. So, my long-term positions are pointed in that direction as well for all of the markets. Real estate, equities. I have some cryptocurrency as well. Across the markets, I look for higher prices. Until the population starts decreasing, I'm going to keep that same opinion. So use the income from the day trading to fund those long-term positions and use leverage wisely. I would rather be using the leverage here than in the options market. So I would rather be using the prop firms than, using the options market. There is, a little bit too much leverage sometimes. And that's why I'm saying I wouldn't use the options because if you don't really know about Greeks, then they might chew you up, spit you right back out. I'd rather be using prop firms because I understand how to handle this type of leverage more than options. Okay, so day trade through MyFundedFutures, get payouts, move it over to long-term positions. That is my position. That is my viewpoint, and that is my business. I'm looking to acquire as much real estate as possible. I'm looking to enhance the long-term positions that I have in equities, and I do that through day trading. So,
Ash, I want to ask this question, which is, you talk about like building the portfolio for longer-term wealth and assets. But I think everybody can hear me. There you go. Building that portfolio, you're using day trading in order to drive that. Like how often or how frequently are you trading? Are you taking a trade every day? Are you taking multiple trades a day?
I would like to only take a trade a day. This is a personal, unique question for everyone. I don't think there's a right or wrong. I think you got to figure out what your risk tolerance is. In my opinion, I don't want to be staring at the screen all day long. So I'd rather only take a trade a day. For some of my accounts, I'm only averaging a trade or two a week. So in terms of the long-term health for this business, I would rather be here in the long term. So I don't want to run into any type of burnout. If you're sitting there trading, 25 times a day, every single day, that's going to take a lot of energy. That's going to take a lot of focus. I'm not sitting here saying what's right or wrong. If that is your type of personality, if that's how you best operate, then that's great. But knowing thyself is important. So I'm of the belief less is more, quality over quantity. I'd rather take less trades than more trades. So position size accordingly to that, right? So if you're the type of individual that's only going to take one trade a day, then maybe your risk might be a little more than the individual that's taking 10 trades a day. right? So my position size might not be the same as your position size because of that, is what I'm trying to say. And that's completely okay. It's a risk tolerance. You have to know thyself to know your risk tolerance. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have going on here in the market too. I'm going to go through some of my charts. Yesterday, I left off with you guys with what I was looking for moving forward. And that's why you see I have this line on here. I left off yesterday's conversation with Burke, stating that I was looking for higher prices. We ended up getting them. It happened on the overnight session. It did a very good job taking out the lows first, in which that's the conversation that we had. We were talking about a deviation of the range. We got the deviation of the range, which ended up turning into a perfect spot for longs. Then we got the move higher, in which we started talking about, bull flags and bear flags. This being, a breakout. And we got it. So the location that we're at now, let's continue to keep moving forward in the analysis. We need to see if this area holds or not. Moving forward, right? Was this a breakout that could be sustained or not? That would be the objective view that I'm looking for moving forward. So taking a look at this area in here, there's a clear imbalance higher during the overnight session. Very clear breakout in here. Need to see if this area provides support for higher prices or not. I'm going to go out to the daily chart here too. Let's head over to NQ. NQ is the same thing. I'm going to go over here to the daily chart too, because this was my logic to the higher prices, the daily chart. We had been pointing to the imbalance here, saying that this imbalance was going to be support for higher prices to reach for the daily swing high. Beautiful support shown too. We got a tap into the daily imbalance. And then we got the move to the swing high. Now we don't have to force price to go above the swing high. We did get the move from the imbalance to the swing high. So now seeing that we're just back inside the range once again, it's a time to be patient. It's a time to be patient. I'd rather be dealing at the extremes of the range. And that's kind of the conversation that we left off on yesterday. Was we were looking at the deviations of the range. Right, I put this on the chart. Stating these are deviations. We got another deviation of the low of the range, provided a beautiful long opportunity to then target the other side of the range. And now we're kind of sitting in that same area. We got another deviation of the range. So I'm looking to see if we can come back to 50% of the range. Right, and that's kind of the analysis that I was just pointing to, is that this area that we broke out from in terms of the bull flag, this right here, this area that created a breakout, we need to see if this provides any support for higher prices or not. Okay. So in my opinion, I'll keep saying it. I'm a bull. I'm a long-term bull. So a lot of my information is going to point to higher prices because of that bias. Okay. We'll see if we get a move back into about 50% of the range. And when we do, we'll see if it provides any support or not for prices. So currently, waiting to see the move back into the range. And this is some of the information that I would look to execute. We had spoke about an entry function that I use, and it's currently present on the chart. You have a swing high, you have a swing low, you have a new high, then a new low. This ends up becoming a breaker block here. And it was done with displacement, right? So there's an FEG in here. There's an FEG in here, right? So I would call this a unicorn model, right? A breaker block plus an FEG. Okay, so I'm currently looking at this here. Right, and so this aligns with the analysis that I'm walking through, looking to see if we can get a move back into the range. If we get a move back into the range, we'll look to see if 50% of the range provides any support for price. So this is what I'm currently watching. Let me know what you guys think. Throw it in chat real quick. Are we bullish or bearish? Just for today's session, throw a 1 in chat if you're bearish. Throw a 2 in chat if we're bullish. Also just saying, looks like we might have hit 1K likes. Looks like we might have hit 1K likes. Phenomenal job, everyone. Guys might want to stick around. We hit 1K likes. We did have a deal on the table. Very good job, everyone. So a bunch of 1s, couple 2s, some more 2s, couple random numbers, some 9s and 6s. Don't know what bias that would be. Okay, so mixed bag, couple bears, couple bulls. We have the same setup on both ES and NQ. So it doesn't matter whether you're watching either one. ES did a good job providing the short entry. So this to me would be a short entry. That didn't highlight very clearly. Okay. See if we can change the color to that. That to me would be a short entry. You can see how NQ, okay, maybe NQ. Looks like it got front ran a little bit there. No, it looks like it might have gave the entry. So both of these entries sitting nicely in profit there. You're already looking at, what is this? 77 points on NQ. I mean, 77 points on one contract of NQ could make a living. So you can see why this entry function is my type of entry function. Very good result there. Very good result there. We need to be aware of Trump. I mentioned it earlier. We have to be aware of anything that Trump says. I know that it's not on the economic calendar. The economic calendar is where a lot of people go for the high impact news drivers. This one you're probably going to have to go to news outlets for. We need to know what Trump says. It's going to have an impact on price. So if there's any news in Trump for Trump, throw it in chat so everybody else could be aware. While we're waiting and watching, if you want to throw any questions or comments in chat as well, if you have any questions for me, I'll gladly go over any kind of information. Do I watch volume? So what's on my chart right now is exactly what I watch. I don't have a volume profile. I don't have any kind of volume statistics. In my opinion, price can and will do whatever it wants whenever it wants to. I just read candlesticks. I don't use any indicators. This is quite literally the only thing on my chart here. I don't use indicators.
I want to follow up on that in a second here, Ash. I want to ask the chat too, how many likes are we at? Ash said we need 1,000. And if we get 1,000 likes in the stream, we're celebrating with a giveaway. So I'm asking you all, how many likes do we have on the stream? I don't know. I literally haven't checked.
From my end, it looks like we might have hit that 1K.
There's no way.
Maybe.
You know why there's no way, Ash?
How's that?
You threw it out there and everybody said, you're out of your mind. You're crazy. Ash is just teasing us. That's what they said.
Sometimes you got to reach for higher goals. Sometimes we got to push the limits so that we can get to where we want to be.
You see this winner mentality that we're bringing you all today?
It's only not achievable until somebody achieves it.
Yeah, Ash is going to start selling a course on motivation. Okay.
Become a philosopher.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Should we celebrate with some resets?
I think it's time. It's unfortunate for the people that left the stream because it sounds like the deal was made.
The deal was made. That's the way she goes. All right. It's time to celebrate. You're getting free resets. A big batch of you out there. The third giveaway of the day. Not even 2 hours in, and we already have a third giveaway of the day. I see a lot of people saying no resets. They don't want resets. They want free accounts. We don't have to do anything. All right, let's skip, I guess, the resets for now, because it sounds like people don't want resets. I don't have accounts queued up, but that's the way she goes. Ash, so you mentioned that you don't use volume. Why is that?
So I don't use volume because it's, for me, information overload. I really try to strip everything down to the bare minimum because I don't want to have any kind of reliance on something. So for me, indicators are that type of reliance. I want less is more. I know I keep repeating myself, but it's because I truly feel that way. I don't want to have something swaying my bias, inducing any kind of emotion. I'd rather just focus on price.
Okay. All right, and I want to ask this one to the chat as well. I want to get a couple levels from people, levels that you're watching, and tell us why. Just give us like a one sentence why you're watching that level. And Ash, I'm going to ask you to take a look at the chat and pull out if there are any interesting levels that you float across. It does sound like we ought to do a round of resets. Should we go for it?
I think it might be time for the reset.
Luke out here doing reverse psychology. They're catching on to me. We were always doing the resets. That's what we're here for. Entertain, engage, build community, be the trustworthy, transparent prop firm, lightning fast payouts, starter plus deals. Again, look at the pin chat. I need 10 of you to buy starter plus, 20% off, and maybe we can get a little Ash special expert deal going. But without further ado, I am going to introduce a round of free resets. The rules are you must be a subscriber on this YouTube channel to be eligible to win. must be subscribed to this YouTube channel to be eligible to win. So if you are not yet subscribed, take the chance, subscribe, do it now. Oh my gosh. And after all that drama, once again, people are saying they don't want resets, they want accounts. Do I need to do another takeaway?
You got to take what's given to you.
I'm giving away $15,000 worth of free stuff today. Free education, free levels, free setups, live trading.
Yeah, with that being said, too, I do need to just point out we did get the move into the equilibrium of the range. So anybody that did take advantage of this information.
Keep going.
Anybody that did take advantage of this information, you're looking at over 100 points on a short. So start offloading those shorts at this point. This is where I'd either be scaling out of the position. You could raise your stops if you want, but at this point in time, you got to move back to 50% of the range. So the information on the short is being completed, right? So here's 50% of the range. That's what I was looking for today. So make sure you're scaling out at this point.
Do you have a position on?
I did not this morning.
Okay. All right. But you're talking us through it if we did.
Yep.
Which we appreciate. Thank you. Ash, I love how transparent you are.
Yeah, I mean, this is the business. We gotta walk through the information every single day. Opinions don't make money. Execution does. So it whether you guys like the information or not, I still have to click the buttons. So, whether you have a good opinion about that, bad opinion about that, that's not what makes me money. So, transparency is going to come out of me because the only person clicking the buttons is myself.
Yep. Awesome. Well, Ash, now is it time to do the resets?
Sounds like it is.
It is?
We hit 1K. We're at 1K likes there.
All right. I'm going to ask you to read the code, Mr. Ash.
Let's
Can
see
you do
what
that
we
for
got.
us? It's going to pop up on the screen.
Code live funded. 50 resets.
50 of you out there are winning free resets right now. Ash said it, live funded. Hit that code. If you didn't win, hit our pinned chat to buy those starter plus 20% off ending tomorrow. You can only buy up to 3 of the starter plus. So if you don't buy all 3, you lose your discount. It goes away forever.
Live funded for the code.
If you got it, let us know in the chat. Let us know in the chat.
Who got a free reset? Throw a W in chat if you got a free reset.
Great. And Ash, I'm just going to take a quick scan of the news wires. There it is. Okay, what time is it? Okay, we got news out. I'll read it to you. Trump says reached a breakthrough deal with the UK. UK will buy more beef and ethanol from us. Will reduce some of its tariffs, which are not helpful for U.S. exports. Protections for steel. Those are the highlights that I'm pulling out. So deal with the UK. What did Trump say? Like a big, beautiful, well-respected country or something like that. Looks like it's going to increase U.S. Exports for beef and ethanol to help protect our steel industry.
Very good.
How's that?
Very good.
All right. Do we get any action off that news? It came out about 5 minutes ago.
I do definitely think that is, once again, what provided the move lower. This is one of the reasons why I don't exactly look at data. In my opinion, some would say that's a good deal, and some would say that would be very beneficial. Yet it gave us some lower prices, right? So bias coming from news is not exactly something that I do personally.
Yeah.
But it does create volatility. When I look at news, I look at it simply as price is going to move more when it happens. Which way it's going to move is completely upon price.
All right, Ash, I'm going to ask you a question about news, and I'm going to ask you to take back over from me and just keep going with your regularly scheduled programming. Sorry to interrupt, but again, I try to be a voice of the chat. So if you all
that was a good interruption. 50 resets.
All right, that was okay. All right. News. How closely are you are you following news as it's developing, or do you just take a look at the calendar in the day ahead and say, hey, there's something at 10, there's something at 2? How do you interact with news?
Very aware of news. I don't follow it in the sense of trying to digest it and figure out what it means. I do start the week on the economic calendar. So within my communities, I do weekly forecasts. And in those communities, we walk through the economic calendar that way that we know before the week even starts that these are our important times of the week. For example, today, it wasn't on the economic calendar 2 days ago that Trump had a speech today. So starting every single morning, I get over on the economic calendar so that I understand when those times occur. Again, for me, news is just creating volatility. When news occurs, price moves more. That's the only way that I view news. I don't get a bias from it. I don't say, oh, that was good economic news, we must get higher prices. Oh, that was bad economic news, we should get lower prices. I don't do that. I only look at it in terms of volatility, right? So, for example, non-farm payroll, I could tell you already, it's the first Friday of every month at 8:30 in the morning. I can guarantee you that there's going to be volatility at that exact time. CPI, yesterday we had FOMC, right? These very important data points provides volatility. So in my opinion, it doesn't create a bias. It simply just points to volatility. Again, not sitting here saying what's right or wrong, just sharing my experience and how I view the market. If you want to dive deeper into news and the data and what it means for the economy, be my guest. It's a matter of knowing thyself and know how you operate best. Right. So, for example, this morning, right, we had 8:30 news, and then we just had the news that occurred. So if we get down here to lower time frames, right, it's really clear where the news is. 8:30, we get a large imbalance lower because of the news. You can expect volatility at these times, right? You're looking at, what is this, a 100-point candle? Same thing here, right? Again, you're looking at nearly a 100-point candle just from the news. So for me, it's just volatility. In terms of executing that volatility, you're looking at it right here, right? The game plan was already set. We were already looking for a move back into the range. We had the type of entry function that we use, so I pointed it out. Right, so the entry occurs at the beginning of the breaker, and that's why I've highlighted it there. Entry occurs at the beginning of the breaker, stop loss at the high. The news didn't determine that. This was already set in stone. The news simply created the volatility for the shorts to move lower, right? So, and now we're back inside the range. So that's what I was trying to explain earlier, is that, you don't have to force your opinion upon price, right? I know I have it set to 2R here, but you're looking at over 100 points on NQ. One contract of NQ at over 100 points would make an absolute living, right? You could be done for the day. Okay, so beautiful move here today. At this moment in time, I wouldn't be looking to change bias. It would just be a time to be patient. Do we get a continued move lower to 2R? Or as I was explaining earlier, are we going to find some sort of support at the middle of the range? I kept highlighting this area here. 50% of the range. So all the range traders will understand that. It was a simple deviation of the range that we pointed out. Deviation of the range. And when you get a deviation of the range, then you look for it to move back to 50% of the range. This is the same exact thing that we left off with on yesterday. Yesterday, Burke asked for an opinion on the next move. We had talked about a deviation of the range and then back to 50% of the range. This is classic range trading. So, in my opinion, if you haven't looked into range trading, I highly suggest you do so, simply because majority of the time the market is ranging. We're not expanding, 100% of the time. Matter of fact, I would go as far as to say that we're ranging majority of the time. I would say 66% of the time we're ranging. We're not expanding. So you should figure out how to most efficiently use ranges. And in my opinion, a deviation of a range back to equilibrium of the range is one of the best ways to use a range. You can see all of the extremes of the range here provided very nice opportunities. Shorts above the range, shorts above the range, longs below the range, shorts above the range, longs below the range, and that's going to be explaining why I was looking at shorts today. Okay, so yes, I am a long-term bull, but for intraday, I'm simply using logic, price action logic, to position myself. Okay, so beautiful move back to equilibrium of the range. Now that we're back to equilibrium of the range, this is where I would look to see if there's any support for price. This is also the same area of the breakout of the bull flag that we had, that I had mentioned earlier. Right? See if the area that caused the breakout of the bull flag provides any support for price. Okay, so moving forward, anybody that took advantage of the shorts this morning should be scaling out of the shorts or fully closing. Take your profits. We made it back to equilibrium of the range, and then simply go back to the sidelines, waiting for the next opportunity that you can identify what's occurring in price. All right, so we do have some time here. If anybody has any questions or comments, feel free to throw it in chat. Let me head over to chat, see if anybody has any questions. Do you trail your stop loss ever, or just let major profits go if it didn't hit your TP? You should determine that for yourself. For myself, I'm a fixed 1 to 2 risk to reward. I would rather do stop loss or take profit. Okay, so either one of two results, either a stop loss or a take profit. I'm not the type of individual to be trailing my stops. Can you walk through how you determine that breaker? So here is a breaker, okay? We're going to do a bearish one first. A bearish breaker is a swing high, then a swing low, then a new high, then a new low. Okay? This is a bearish breaker. You have to have all 4 institutional swing points. A swing high, a swing low, a new high, then a new low. Okay, so you can see it here. Swing high, swing low, new high, new low. Once you get all 4 of those institutional swing points, you will always find the breaker in between the initial swing high, to the initial swing low. Right, so you can see it here. And this same thing goes for longs, just vice versa, right? Initial swing high to initial swing low. A bearish breaker will always be a down close candle, right? So look at these two down close candles here. This would be your bearish breaker. Vice versa for bullish breakers. Same exact thing, just obviously the opposite direction, right? So swing low, swing high, new low, new high. You'll always find the bullish breaker in between the initial swing points. And now a bullish breaker will be an up close candle. Okay, so a bearish breaker will always be a down close candle. A bullish breaker will always be an up close candle. So that is a quick rundown of breakers. Very good question. Let's take a look to see if any other questions. Very good question there. What triggers your entry? A breaker plus a fair value gap. So let's take a look here. You can see the breaker here. The very first moment this becomes a breaker is here when price goes below it. And then I want a fair value gap to be aligned with the breaker. Now it's very small, but it is there, right? So you can, let me zoom in so you can see it. You see the fair value gap there? I need to have a breaker that has a fair value gap aligned with it. That's what the unicorn model is. So once you have those confirmations, then you can enter, right? And so that's why I pointed to this being an entry. I enter at the beginning of the breaker. Okay. Like this, and aim for 2R. You can see the same thing here on ES. All right, so bearish breaker here. It closed below it. So it was a confirmed breaker. And then you can also see that it had a fair value gap aligned with it. So this would be a short entry when it goes back up into the breaker right here. That's why the red dot is there. That would be a short entry. And it did a phenomenal job going plus 30 points. So very good job on those shorts there. Same thing here on NQ. Very good job on the shorts there. Looking at 146 points on NQ. That is an absolute living. Another very good question. What am I aiming for today? We already achieved what I was aiming for today. Earlier, I had mentioned equilibrium of this range. So that's how you range trade. You look for deviations of the range, and then you look to take it from the extreme of the range back to equilibrium of the range. The range being the swing low to swing high of the current price. And you can see that that target was nicely met. So here's equilibrium of the range, right? 50% of the range. We got that move already. So that's why I mentioned earlier in the stream, scaling out of those shorts. We would be done with that short position. And at this point, I would be looking to see if 50% of the range provides support for price. Range trading. Am I waiting for a retest to the breaker? That already occurred, right? I'm not sure how else to make it any clearer. The target for the breaker has already been achieved. The entry for the short has already occurred and provided the target. Look at this red dot right here. That would be the short entry. And what I've been saying is 50% of the range is the target. So after the short entry occurred, we made it to the target, 50% of the range. So now that the short was already provided, now that the target has already been completed, be done for the day. The shorts are done. The shorts played out nicely. It provided a nice profit. Maybe to clear up some confusion, we'll take off the position tool indicator. Maybe that's causing some confusion. Is there a unicorn setup on the 5-minute? Let's see if they are correct. Not yet, but it's trying to, right? So again, it is a swing low, swing high, new low. We would need a new high. So we haven't gotten the new high yet. So it is not a bullish unicorn until it displaces through this right here. If it displaces through what would be, it is not a breaker block yet. It has to displace through it to become a breaker block. If it displaces through this gray box and leaves an FVG aligned with it, then yes, this would be a bullish unicorn on the 5-minute. It hasn't done that yet, so it is not a confirmed setup yet. Right, there's many ways to talk about this. I know I'm calling them breakers, calling them fair value gaps. It could be as simple as saying a break of a downtrend, right? You have a very clear downtrend here. If we break out of this downtrend and retest the area that we break out from, right? Like let's do this as a line so you can see what I'm talking about. Here's the downtrend. Here's the downtrend. If we were to break out of the downtrend, retest that area that we broke out from, that would be a long to target the highs. Right. So everybody likes to use their own terminology. In my opinion, there's millions of ways to trade this market, and all of them work. What makes them work is the operator. Right. So it's not the model that you trade. It's the operator that trades the model. Can you manage your risk? Can you manage your emotions? Can you manage your mind? Those people that can really focus on their risk management can be good operators, good executioners, because that's what matters. You need to be able to execute. So same thing here on NQ. We'll take a look. If we break out of this downtrend, it will create a bullish breaker, right? So push up here, retest here, go higher. That's what I'm currently looking for now that the shorts are over. If that occurs, then I would target new highs right here. So let's see if we get this as the next move. Coming from equilibrium of the range. Let's see. You have some nice equal highs here on NQ. Let's see if we get, right, this bullish breaker right here. If we get this, right, bullish breaker, then I would look for a retest to then go higher. That's what I'm currently looking for now that the shorts are over. Ash, what time would you not be looking to execute a trade? So you should set defined times for yourself. That way you know what is and is not a trade. Okay. That's dependent on the opening times because time is the most important element. You want to be participating during the opening times, right? Asia open, London open, New York open. Okay. That's the first thing. Second thing is your daily schedule. When can you provide your undivided attention to price? That would be the second question. Okay. if you can provide your undivided attention to price from 9:30 to 11, that's the time that I would look to trade. Okay. And I would stop looking to trade at 11 then, right? So align yourself with your daily schedule. And then when you're done, be done. Okay. When you're outside of hunting hours, be done. I can't find the difference between a market structure shift and a breaker block. Well, a market structure shift doesn't have. So here's a market structure shift here. Okay. Market structure shift right in here. So here's the difference between a breaker block and a market structure shift. A breaker block is a swing low, a swing high, a new low, then a new high. Yes, that is also a market structure shift, but there are these types of market structure shifts as well. See this difference right here? Both of these are market structure shifts at this moment in time right there and at this moment in time right here. But this one is a breaker. This one is not. So the difference is the institutional swing points is the difference. A breaker has a swing low, then a swing high, then a new low, then a new high. Whereas a market structure shift could be a swing low, then a higher low, then a new high. Right, so at this moment in time, it's creating that breaker that we were referring to. So now we'll look at this here. Use that as an area of support to target this here. Right, so looking at this here, now looking at longs like this, targeting this. So now I would be looking at this here. Right, once again, a breaker block plus a fair value gap. Right, you have the fair value gap there too. So now this would be the next thing that I'm looking at. So we got a couple more minutes before my segment is up. If you have any last questions, I got another 7 minutes before my segment is done. So again, feel free to throw any questions or comments in chat. While you do that, hit the like button, sub to the channel. If you sub to the channel, you'll be able to communicate with us here in chat. Turn the notifications on. That way you can know when we go live again. We've been doing this daily. What would you choose between NQ and ES? Well, let's see if there's any divergences. All right, we want to be longing the stronger pair, shorting the weaker pair. So let's take a look to see if there's any divergences here. Looks like, what is that? No divergences. I don't think at the current moment there would be a choice between NQ or ES. So cracks in correlation is what would determine the difference between choosing NQ or ES. You want to be longing the stronger pair, shorting the weaker pair, but at the current moment in time, there is no divergences. Okay. Looks like we just got some good news to come across too. It looks like very lucky for the individuals that stuck around because we just got another discount coming across. It looks like we're setting up 100 uses of 25% off of an expert plan. So throw a W in chat if that's something that you'd like. I'll tell you the code in a couple minutes after we get a couple W's in chat. My preference on the expert accounts, you know, in my opinion, that's the best account on the market. If we get a couple W's in chat, I'll read off the code for the 25% off. Give it a couple more minutes to see if we get enough W's. $25% off. That's huge. And as we're waiting and watching, again, we will now be targeting the highs. No matter how you want to talk about it, it is right a break of the downtrend. Since we're breaking the downtrend, I would then target the highs. The way that I would do that is using the breaker, right? You have a breaker there. This area should hold as support for those higher prices. So whether you already market ordered in during the break, or if you're looking for a retest of the area that broke, either one of those are viable options for this idea here. All right, it looks like we did get some W's in chat too. There he is again, the man himself, Mr. Luke.
I'm back, baby. Even when you don't see me, I'm always lurking. The stream ends. You're trading. You're going about your day. Still lurking. Looking in at what you all are doing. And Ash, you're working a special deal for the people?
The opinion on the expert accounts may have come to fruition.
Oh, yeah? Tell me about it.
Looking at a potential 25% off on expert accounts for up to 100 uses. So pretty good odds here. Seeing that we got still 400 people left on the stream. 100 uses out of 400 people. Pretty good odds here.
All right. It's in the chat again.
All right. So it is time. The code is ASH MFTV.
100 uses.
You got 100
25%
uses.
off expert plan. Link is in the chat. Grab it. Must be quick.
Gotta be
Only
quick.
100 of you. What a wild day, Ash.
Beautiful move lower, and now we're getting a beautiful move higher. This was quite a clean day.
Whew. So now are you done? Or what does your rest of your day look like?
The rest of the day will be in the gym after this, and then after the gym, head over to the rental property. A couple things I got to fix up over there. The afternoons are usually for real estate.
Okay. Awesome. Alrighty, sir. Can you give us some final thoughts, some final words of wisdom?
Yeah, some final thoughts. Just know that there has been and always will be another opportunity. So never feel like you have to rush into anything. Never have the feeling of missing out, right? So we had talked about longs now to the highs, and this is what I'm kind of trying to refer to. If you didn't market order in on the initial break, you don't need to chase price. Understand that there will always be another opportunity. You don't have to have that fear of missing out. You don't have to just jump in price because you see it going higher. Stick to your plan. Process over profits. Okay? Fall in love with the process. Allow the results to be a byproduct of it. Stay objective to price. Don't be emotionally driven, and understand that there's always going to be another opportunity.
Awesome. Alrighty, sir. You heard it. You saw the move in real time. Ash delivered on 25% off extra plans for 100 of you. I don't know if it's gone yet or not, but if it's still alive, it's not going to be there for long. Link is in the chat. Our 2.5 hours together is coming to an end, but wait, we will be back here at 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, talking charts, trades, setups, questions, and the unicorn himself. All right. Happy trading, everyone. See you tomorrow.
Have a nice day, everyone.